Hello and welcome to this game pickups video where I'm going to be going through all of the stuff that I've got recently through the months of the lockdown that's been in effect in the UK. I did intend on doing one of these videos every month, but just because of the whole lockdown situation, I haven't really been getting enough games to warrant doing a monthly video. But now I feel like I've got enough games to actually warrant making a video about all of the stuff that I've been picking up. So I guess let's now get started with the first game that I picked up all the way back in March with Animal Crossing New Horizons for the Nintendo Switch. Now to be honest, this game is definitely the game that I've played most that's released this year. I think I've put in over 100 hours on it now. I've been trying to fill in the Critterpedia by catching all of the fish and bugs every month. And I've just been trying to upgrade my island, upgrade my house and decorate it well and stuff like that. It's just really addicting, and I think when you get past the slow start that it has, it really begins to pick up the pace a little bit because you've got access to more stuff to do. And yeah, it's just a great game, addicting, cute, fun. It's not for everybody because it does have quite a slow pace and it doesn't really have any action in it or anything. But if you're into town building and decorating and stuff like that, and you kind of want to be creative in a game but with something that's not too technical, this is probably right up your alley. I did actually make a video about this game a while ago, giving my first impressions of the game. And while I still stand by a lot of what I said in that video, I do feel like I came across as being more negative than how I actually feel about it, because this is definitely one of the games of the year for sure. In terms of the amount of money I spent on it, I got it for $39.99 from Smith's Toy Store, which at the time was actually £5 cheaper than it was everywhere else, so that's a pretty good deal. The next three games I'm just going to bunch together into the same category just because they're very similar, and I've already talked about two of them on the channel in quite a lot of depth, and I'm currently making the video about the third one. And so that is Super Monkey Ball Touch and Roll for the DS, Super Monkey Ball Step and Roll for the Wii, and Super Monkey Ball 3D for the 3DS. As a lot of you probably know at this point, I've been trying to cover every single Super Monkey Ball game in the entire series, and I'm currently 2 videos away from having done that. So yeah, I obviously have to get the games in order to make the videos about them. So that's why I've been going quite crazy buying Super Monkey Ball games recently. But yeah, I've only got one more left to get, which is Banana Splits for the Vita, so maybe in the next video I make like this, I'll be holding that one up instead of these 3. But yeah, what I will say is that these 3 Super Monkey Ball games aren't really the highest quality ones. I think if you want to go for a Super Monkey Ball game, the best bet is to go for one of the original 2 on the GameCube, or Super Monkey Ball Deluxe on the Xbox. They're really the only ones that are properly really good games. These 3, I mean, the 2 that I've covered, which is Super Monkey Ball 3D and Super Monkey Ball Touch and Roll, are okay, but you're definitely better off just sticking with the originals. In terms of the prices of these, I got all 3 of them for quite cheap. The most expensive one was Super Monkey Ball Step and Roll, which I got for $9.99 from eBay. Then we got Super Monkey Ball Touch and Roll for $3.99, and I think that was also from eBay. And I got Super Monkey Ball 3D for around £6 from Amazon. So yeah, not too bad in terms of the amount of money I spent on them. These are 3 of the cheaper Super Monkey Ball games you can find, not that any of them are particularly expensive. So yeah, you can't really go wrong for that price. The next 5 games I'm going to be talking about, I'm not going to say where I got them from or a price, because I actually don't know where they came from and I don't know the price, because I actually got all 5 of these games for my birthday as birthday presents. So the first one that I want to talk about is Luigi's Mansion 1 for the GameCube. I haven't finished this one yet, but I've played quite a lot of it. I actually, despite thinking that it's very good, I actually think I do prefer Luigi's Mansion 3. That might just be because I have no nostalgic attachment to the first one, because this is my first time playing it ever, so I didn't play it as a kid or anything. But it does definitely have a lot of charm, and it's very well designed as well, almost being like a survival horror game but for kids. And it's nice seeing Luigi's inner thoughts as you can scan the environment and interact with different things. But I do think that Luigi's Mansion 3 is probably a bit more tightly designed and a little bit more fun to go through with all of the different themes in the hotel you explore in that game. It's not that this one is bad at all though, it's really, really good. It's just that I do feel like 3 kind of improved the formula and added a lot to it. This one is a little bit more simple, which a lot of people would probably like. But yeah, it's a good game, just probably not quite as good as Luigi's Mansion 3, in my opinion anyway. The next game I got for my birthday is yet another GameCube one, and this time it's Mario Kart Double Dash, which again, I never played as a kid, so I don't have any nostalgic attachment to it. But what I'll say about this one is it is one of the most interesting Mario Kart games that I've played. I like how the drift mechanic works. It's a little bit different to how it is in the recent entries. It feels almost a little bit more skill-based, which I appreciate. It's a lot harder than some of the newer Mario Kart games, I would say. And yeah, it has quite a good selection of characters as well. Some like really unique ones that aren't in any other Mario Kart game. So it's definitely worth giving it a go if you are a fan of Mario Kart and you haven't played this. I know a lot of people have, obviously. This is probably one of the most popular ones in the series. But for some reason I just haven't really started getting into GameCube games until very recently. So this is one I've been wanting for a while to kind of like bulk out my collection and get some of the hits available on the system. The third game I got for my birthday is a Nintendo Switch game, and it's an indie game as well. It's kind of similar to Overcooked. I would probably say that it's not quite as good as Overcooked though, but it's moving out, and it's very, very good. If you've already played Overcooked and you're looking for something very similar, then this is definitely something that you should check out. It's an awesome couch co-op game. Basically the premise of it is that, you know how in Overcooked you're chefs in a kitchen and you have to prepare meals. In this game, you're like a moving company and you have to clear out a house basically as efficiently as possible within a time limit. But there's all sorts of like quirky things that happen that make the situations you get yourself into more difficult. But yeah, if you're looking for a nice, quick, fast-paced co-op game, then definitely take a look at this. It's not too expensive either, which is pretty good. So yeah, really, if you're looking for a co-op game, check it out. The next 2 games I got for my birthday are both PS4 games, and I would probably say that both of these are contenders for Game of the Year. The first one is Resident Evil 3, the recently released remake, which I just think is absolutely incredible. In a lot of ways it's even better than the Resident Evil 2 remake, although there are quite a few little elements that make the Resident Evil 2 remake better than this one. Like I think Nemesis isn't as much of a threat as Mr. X was, and Resident Evil 2 had a bit more replayability and was maybe slightly longer as well. But Resident Evil 3 is still a fantastic game in its own right. I really like how they implemented a dodge mechanic which makes the combat and boss encounters feel a lot slicker. I like how the unlock system has been like tweaked a little bit to be made a little bit more just like user friendly and easier to understand. And graphically, it's got to be one of the best looking PS4 games that I've played. There is another PS4 game coming up which is probably the single best photorealistic game that I've ever played, but we'll get onto that a little bit later. The final game that I got for my birthday is Doom Eternal, and I've actually pretty much fully completed this. I'm close to getting the Platinum Trophy on this actually, but it's not too difficult to do that, so it's not like that's that much of an impressive thing or anything. But yeah, I've spent quite a lot of time with this, collecting everything, going through the story, doing a bit of the online, and it's really good. Doom 2016 obviously is an amazing game, one of the best shooters of the generation I would say, and while Doom Eternal does make a lot of improvements to that, I do also feel like this one falls a little bit flat when you compare it to Doom 2016 in some ways. Like I don't really like how in Doom Eternal you can find yourself quite often running out of ammo. and then being unable to get any ammo because obviously once you've ran out you can't kill anything for a while. Whereas in Doom 2016, if you ran out of ammo, you had an unlimited ammo pistol, so it never really got in the way in that game. Plus the way that the glory kill mechanic worked is that it always gave you ammo, whereas in this one you don't get ammo for doing glory kills. So that's probably the biggest element where I feel this one isn't as good as Doom 2016, but in a lot of other ways this one is way better. I like the amount of unlockables in this one. I like how it's got a hub area. I like how it expands the lore of the previous Doom games. I like the different environments that you go to in this one. Basically, if you liked Doom 2016, you're almost guaranteed to like this one. It throws in a couple more gimmicks as well, like you've got a grappling hook. You can like swing on these metal bars, there's underwater sections, stuff like that. They basically tried to make it a more expanded sequel, which in some ways kind of harms it because Doom 2016 was quite basic and I think that worked really well. But in another way, it makes this one stand out even more. Now the next game I got was actually a really interesting one, and it was actually really expensive as well. If you count all of the shipping and handling costs, it actually came to around £55 just for the game, and it is Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2X. Now I'm currently doing a Tony Hawk's Pro Skater review marathon on the channel, so I'm trying to get all of them, and this is one that I, up until recently, had never played at all, and I've been wanting to get it for years. But the issue is, it's an exclusive to the original Xbox, and I've never really been that into that console. But as well as that, it is also exclusive to North America. It was never released in PAL regions or anywhere else. So it's made it incredibly difficult to track down for a decent enough price. And so I kind of just jumped at the chance to get it, because with the remake of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 coming out on the PS4 and Xbox One and PC soon, I kind of thought that the price of this game might inflate. So I kind of just thought I might as well just jump and get it while I can. So the thing is with this, is that obviously with it being an American Xbox game, it meant that I had no way of actually playing it. So what I had to then do is I had to get an American Xbox or Xbox 360. The issue with that is that I kind of heard that it doesn't play perfectly on an Xbox 360, so then I was having to look at getting an original Xbox that can play American games. The issue with that is that with shipping, they're extremely expensive to import from America, so that led me to having to look into soft modding my own Xbox in order to make it region free so I would actually be able to play it. I tried doing that and I just couldn't wrap my head around it. I was watching loads of YouTube tutorials. I even got a game that is apparently required to do it, which I'll talk about next, and I got all of the equipment and all of the wires to be able to do it, following tutorials, had all of the equipment, and it just didn't work. So then what I had to do is I just had to buy an already soft modded original Xbox, and then that came, and I had to fiddle around with that for ages. I actually have it working now. The only issue being that in order to record the footage, I'm going to have to use composite cables instead of component cables, so the quality of footage isn't going to be quite as crisp as it would be otherwise. But, I mean, I've finally got it working after all of that. I've spent a hell of a lot of money on this game and the Xbox just to play this game. So in total it probably cost around £110 just to be able to play this one game. So yeah, a bit annoying and a bit over the top. But you'll have to watch my review to find out if it was all worth it, I guess. So yeah, that's an adventure that I've been on recently. Yeah, all for Tony Hawk. I hope he appreciates it. The next game that I got is one that I just mentioned. So while I was trying to soft mod my own original Xbox in order to play Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2X, I read that you needed an original copy of Splinter Cell for the Xbox, because there's this weird like save data exploit that only works in like 3 different games, and this just happens to be one of them. So the way that it works is kind of that you force the Xbox to read a Splinter Cell save data file, but it's the save data file you put onto the Xbox is one that like activates the soft mod. It's kind of confusing and I don't even fully understand it. But it turned out that I wasted my time anyway, because even though I was following all of the right steps, I for some reason couldn't soft mod the Xbox. So now I'm just stuck with a copy of Splinter Cell 1 on the original Xbox that I'm probably never going to play. It only cost $5.99 and I got it from eBay, so it's not that big of a deal. I do already own this on PS2 when I played it back in the day. I remember it being good, but there's not really any reason for me to own 2 copies of it, but there we go. The next game is one of my most recent game pickups, and it's a game that only came out very, very recently. It's a very controversial one, and it is The Last of Us Part 2, which I got for £50 from a shop called Game in the UK. So yeah, this game, I've got quite a lot to say about this. I don't know if I'm going to make a standalone video about it, but despite it being a very good game in terms of just the gameplay, I do think that the story is kind of extremely flawed. I'm not going to go into any spoilers or anything, but there's elements of it that I think really didn't work very well. But in terms of graphics, I would say that this is probably the best photorealistic game on the PS4. It almost looks like it could be a PS5 game, I feel. Obviously the PS5 isn't out, so I can't really say that with any authority, but yeah, it looks kind of a step ahead of what I've seen previous games do with graphics on the PS4. So with this game, I really do feel like we're seeing that start of the next generation almost. Naughty Dog are obviously always good with graphics, but I feel like this game is kind of like ahead of what they normally do. It's really, really good graphically. The sound design is incredible as well. But yeah, the story is flawed, and I think it's a little bit too long, and I also think that there is some issues with the gameplay getting a little bit repetitive as well. But yeah, not going to go into it too much because I know people don't want it spoiled, but there we go. This is the game that I've been playing a lot recently. The final game I'm going to talk about is one for the Nintendo Switch, and it's one that I actually got from my girlfriend. It cost about $26.99, I think. Again, I got this from Game. And it is the remake of SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom. We haven't played this too much because we've been busy with The Last of Us, but now we've finished that, we might play this a little bit more. What I will say though is that from what we've played of this, I really didn't like it, like at all. I actually thought that it was awful. Maybe I just wasn't in the mood for it, and again, maybe it's a situation where because I didn't play the original, I don't have that nostalgia for it. So I'm kind of seeing it for what it is, and it's actually a little bit dated and kind of uninspired. But yeah, I definitely need to give it more of a chance because I have only played it the one time, and I didn't play it for very long either. I got to the King Jellyfish boss fight, which I think is the first boss fight in the game. But yeah, really wasn't impressed by this one at all, and yeah, I'm kind of hoping that when I play it again, I'm kind of going to get more into it and enjoy it a bit more. But if I don't, yeah, I'm probably never going to put this in my Switch ever again. Yeah, so kind of ending the video on a bit of a bummer there, but what can you do? If you buy a bad game, you buy a bad game. And that's every game that I've picked up physically anyway over the last 4 months or so. Like I said at the beginning of the video, I did intend on doing one of these every month, but just with the whole lockdown situation going on and everything else going on in the world as well, I haven't really been buying that many games, like month after month. So I figured I'd just wait a while until I had a big stack and then just do one video like this going through all of them. There's quite a lot of games coming out later in the year that I'm going to be getting, so no doubt you're going to see another one of these videos relatively soon. So if you're excited for that and you enjoyed this video and you want to see more, give it a like, leave a comment down in the comments letting me know what your favourite game pickups have been over the lockdown period, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!